Lots of people visit the island of Sodor every year. Some of them come for the day, and some stay for a longer holiday. The people who live on Sodor are proud of their island, and they like to share it with as many visitors as possible. Holiday posters show people what the island is like. This year, a famous photographer called Paul Carter came to the island to take some new photographs. The best one was going to be on a new poster. The Fat Controller welcomed him warmly when he arrived at Vickerstown. "My engines know all the most splendid sights on the island," he told Mr. Carter, "and will take you wherever you need to go."
"And where our rails can't reach, Bertie the boss will help too,"
Thomas puffed cheerfully. Mr. Carter found lots of interesting sights on Sodor and began taking lots of photographs wherever he went. By the time Mr. Carter was finished, he had lots of photographs for the mayor and the Fat Controller to look at. There were pictures of cows and sheep in a field by the side of Thomas's branch line, one taken at the seashore very early in the morning when the boats came into the harbor with the fish they had caught, some pictures of the beach and mountains, and busy scenes at the big station. "It's going to be very difficult to choose just one," said the Fat Controller. "These are such lovely places on the island." The mayor nodded his head. "Yes, what we have to find is that one special picture that will show visitors what a special place Sodor is and make them want to come here for a visit or a holiday." The Fat Controller, the mayor, and Mr. Carter chose their favorite pictures and spread them out on the table. "Now, how can we choose just one of them?" asked the mayor. Mr. Carter smiled. "I think I know," he said. "Look at the pictures. There's one special thing in each of them." The Fat Controller looked at the pictures carefully. "Of course! It's the engines. There's one of my railway engines in each of the pictures." The mayor chuckled. "You're right, Sir Topham. There's Thomas on his branch line, Henry and the Flying Kipper collecting fish from the harbor, and James chuffing along on the coastal path. The shots of Gordon steaming into the big station and Edward working hard on the mountain line are particularly impressive." The three men agreed they had found one of the things that made the island of Sodor special: the Fat Controller's railway and his really useful engines. Everyone who comes to the island loves to see them. They bring a smile to every boy and girl's face. And without their help, I wouldn't have been able to take so many wonderful photos and see so many beautiful sights, smiled Mr. Carter. They really are very special engines. Mr. Carter put the photos away and got his camera out. "I'd like to take one more photograph at the big station. Can you arrange for Thomas and the engines to be there, sir?" "Of course," said the Fat Controller. The engines were pleased and proud to be in the special photograph. And they were even happier when the new posters were printed and pasted at Vickerstown Station, encouraging visitors to come to Sodor to meet the very special engines.
One day, the Fat Controller had some very exciting news for the engines. "A television company is going to use the railway to make a film," he said. "The film is about some children who become very special friends with the engines. 3 engines will be chosen to be in the film. They will be star engines." "Peep, peep," said Thomas. "Which 3 engines will it be?" "Wait and see," said Sir Topham. That night in the shed, the engines talked about the film. "I wonder who will be chosen to be in it," murmured Thomas. "It's obvious," scoffed James. "They'll need a splendid-looking engine, so I'm definitely in." They'll need a strong engine too, laughed Henry. I fit that role perfectly. And above all else, they'll need a grand engine, finished Gordon. And everybody knows there's no one grander on this railway than me. We are the largest engines after all, they boasted. I do hope you are chosen for this film, said Edward graciously. So do I, said Percy. Thomas felt sad. He wanted to be in the film too, but Gordon, Henry and James were so confident they'd be chosen that he believed them. I hope you enjoy making the film, he told them. Do you think I can come and watch? Oh, of course, smiled Gordon. And you won't just watch us, Thomas. I won't, he gasped excitedly. No, laughed James. You can help shunt the yard while we're filming. The big engines laughed, and Thomas went crossly to sleep. The next morning, Henry, Gordon and James were still boasting. Tell the Fat Controller we'll be late in starting this morning, Gordon told Edward as he prepared to leave for the big station. Our drivers in 5 minutes are going to give us an extra wash and polish. We have to look our best for the TV people, put in James. Edward grimaced. He was growing tired of the talk of television. Don't take too long. Remember, the passengers don't like to be kept waiting. But the 3 big engines didn't care about passengers. They just wanted to impress the TV people. But the Fat Controller wasn't impressed when he heard. An extra wash and polish, he spluttered. They should be thinking of their passengers. I have told them that, sir, sighed Edward. But they want to look their best for the television people. Thomas and Percy were busy bringing coaches to the platform, whilst Toby arranged trucks for the day's good train. The TV people won't be interested in us, they thought. We're better being really useful engines instead. The Fat Controller went to make alternative arrangements for their trains to run on time. Fortunately, Boko was able to run the express in Gordon's place, and Henry and James's trains were taken by Donald and Douglas instead. Soon, the 3 big engines puffed grandly into the big station, where the Fat Controller was waiting with the producer of the film. These are my bigger engines, Gordon, Henry and James. They think they'd make fine stars for your film. The producer looked them up and down. They are really fine engines. The big engines were flattered. But they are rather large. What about the other engines? The smaller ones? The Fat Controller pointed to Thomas, Percy and Toby. The producer was delighted. They're just the right size. Gordon, Henry and James were surprised. But what about us? They gasped. You 3, the Fat Controller told them sternly, can take the goods train that Donald, Douglas and Boko had to leave in order to run your trains. Perhaps that'll teach you to be a little less vain in future. The 3 big engines went off in a huff, and Thomas, Percy and Toby were included in the film. They enjoyed being filmed a great deal. They thought acting was lots of fun. Thomas felt especially pleased with himself. He liked the idea of being a special star engine. At first, Gordon, Henry and James were jealous, but they soon learned to be happy for the small engines, particularly when they were invited to the special premiere of the film at the big station. What happens in the film? Henry asked Thomas. Thomas chuckled. You'll have to wait and see.